Hey, everybody. We're on a Sunday morning, actually, Sunday afternoon, but
Yeah.
who's counting, right? Welcome to Press for Time. I'm your host, Benny Rose. I have a very special guest with me today. I have the one and only Eddie Layfield. He is actually a producer, an actor, a podcast editor. He does a lot, and I think we have a lot in common. And we want to talk about him and a very special project that he's working on, but also get to know him, who he is, and what makes him like to do the similar stuff that we do, like podcasts and working on all things that are like kind of pop culture. So, Eddie, welcome.
Dude, thank you, Benny. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Thank you also to your audience for giving me the time of day. I hope it's entertaining and I hope you don't skip us or me.
Same here. I think you're in for a great treat. We've already had a little bit of talk offline, spoiler alert, and we've connected well. We have some great stuff that we talked about, and I think we have some really cool stuff to look forward to. So, thank you for stopping in as always. And remember, if you like what you see, like and subscribe. I never say that, but I know it's important. So, we definitely find people that enjoy one show here, one show there, and that's what we're all about. We're doing this out of passion, and we have lives, families, and we're always pressed for time, but we
Yeah.
make time for things that we love, like all this nerd culture.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So, Eddie, tell me a little bit about yourself in the realm of being a producer and an editor. Like, a lot of that is background work that not everybody gets to see.
Sure.
And it's stuff that I like to learn about from other aspects because I feel like when I do it, I figure a lot of it out on my own, and I
Mm.
know that there are more appropriate measures and ways to do about things. So I'd love to kind of pick your brain and just see, how you come across like what you're doing at Marvel of Horror and any other editing and producing that you've done.
Yeah. Yeah. The Marvel of Horror is a horror-based podcast right here, as you can see. We also have merch. But Bruce Marvel, the host of our show, comes on and brings a guest on to talk about a piece in the horror genre. Benny and I actually connected over that podcast, and then I approached him with some more of the producing and more of the other stuff that I'm working on. So I appreciate you having me on, Benny, to talk about the most recent film that I've been working on called The Conspiracists. Yeah, it is a mockumentary comedy about a brother and sister putting on the first all-inclusive conspiracy convention. And in this goofy comedy, one of the siblings struggles to put up said convention while the other one uncovers a larger conspiracy at play. So it's a goofy comedy, kind of pays homage to Christopher Guest films. Do you know like Best in Show or
Yes.
Waiting for Guffman? So it's very quirky, office styled mockumentary characters who join at the end of the film this odd conspiracy convention. So my job on the production was the executive producer and a bit of production coordinating. So this is the first project that my production company, my wife and I's production company, Uncultured Swine. This is our first feature film that we're working on. So I've been setting up a tiny little press tour for myself in the last couple months, and Benny is the second stop on this press tour. So I really appreciate you letting me tell our story, because that's really my goal here. It's just to share it.
No, it's awesome. It sounds like a lot of fun. It also sounds like a lot of work. I mean, as we know, when we're doing this ourselves and we don't have big corporations behind it and funding things and kind of formulating things, there's a happy balance where you may not have all that support to kind of help you financially, but at the same time, you're at the helm. You get to do what you want. You get to decide how this goes. And again, as a team, you have a vision here, and you don't have to worry about those restrictions of kind of watering down what your end result is. So that sounds exciting in itself.
It's nice. We are, like you said, in a smaller financial pool, but that's okay for us because we're starting out. We had some help financially through some friends and family. We also partnered with a company called Fractured Atlas. This company gives us a 501(c)(3) status, so
Okay.
it was easier for us to approach people for funding by offering it, an incentive and a tax write-off in a sense. Other than that, we also attached our project to another production company based out of Wilmington. Their name is King Creative. Chris Bruce is the head of that team there. And I have to be truthful by saying the second we attached him to the project, it was like the floodgates of Delaware opened up for us. And he was Jesus standing in front of it, being like, "Come, my friends, I'll introduce you to everyone and help you out." And
That's
I'm from,
awesome.
it was nice, man. I'm from Delaware originally. So going home to work with them was a dream come true. It was really, really nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned that your team is essentially you and your siblings. Are they based in Delaware now too, or is everybody kind of moved away and everybody's kind of revisiting?
Well, so the Marvel of Horror is definitely a mom and pop organization. It's just me and my siblings running that one. As far as the Conspiracists goes, Uncultured Swine is solely my wife and I. We're about 2 years into running our own production company. And then over at King Creative, they do have a lot of a bigger team that they're working with. But all of, I guess our connections started when I was younger. My background is actually in acting. I have a degree in musical theater. I'm an equity actor, and Chris Bruce and I worked in theater growing up.
Okay.
So when we came to the time of approaching him, it was kind of a no-brainer, and it was like we were kids again back in the day in Delaware doing theater again. Um,
Okay. That's good.
yeah, it was really, really neat. To give you some more information about the project, the writing team are a husband and wife duo. Michael Peri Jr. and his wife Lacey Riley approached us around, I think it was like 2020 that we read the first version of this script, and then 2 years after that, they reapproached us uh, and gave us permission to produce this work. Michael Perry also came on to be the director of the film. And now that we're in post production, it's been really exciting to work with our editor, Alex Coleman, our executive producing team, and Michael's direction. So it's very collaborative, it's very exciting, and very funny so far.
That's awesome. Do
Yeah.
you guys, right now, obviously you may not be able to speak to it, but do we have an estimated goal for release? Are we looking at like this year, maybe later this year?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we've been really good at following our timeline. In the last couple months, we ended pre-production and wrapped filming in November, and then in this last couple weeks, we have wrapped post-production so that we can meet our goal of entering our first film festival in March. We're going to start with TIFF, the
Okay.
Toronto International Film Festival will be our first submission, and then we have about 15 festivals that will submit to in this circuit with this film. My goal is to definitely hit up the major film festivals because this is a feature film. You have to play with the big dogs when it's an hour and a half movie. But selfishly, as a producer and a fan of comedy, I wanted to make sure we hit some of the smaller festivals in areas where comedy is really a hot ticket item, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
Chicago, Portland, New York City, but specifically Austin, Texas, to me
Okay.
is leading the pack for comedy right now. So hopefully we'll get invited to some of these festivals and we can screen this beautiful movie in front of a large audience, and then go from there with distribution and hopefully sell it so that more people can see this thing. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. I mean, for me, I'll be honest, like as I think about it, obviously not knowing too much other than the trailer that has been shown with I believe your team was on a talk show to talk a little bit about it, right?
Yeah, they were.
So I just like the idea of it being called Con. As obviously
Yes.
a nerd culture guy and having grown up in the world of conventions, I don't think that we have many movies
Mm.
that kind of take that dive into that world, and I've
Yeah.
always thought, like, people might adapt to that, no matter what the premises is. It can be a horror convention, it could be a comic convention, it can be kind
Conspiracy.
of, yeah, exactly, which is, we said offline, that's kind of the world that we're in now. I think it's more relevant than ever.
I agree.
I know that you mentioned that the script was written earlier in the times of COVID when it first came, but obviously the time has evolved, and it's just ironic, how common, I feel like that talk is,
Yeah.
especially on the platform we met on, TikTok. There is lots of conspiracy theories, and I feel like it's becoming more, I don't want to say common practice, but it's just becoming the norm
Yeah.
versus, before it was always like, oh, like you gotta stay away. But it's like, I don't want to say, it's hard to be opinionated on a realistic subject like that. But,
For sure.
I think people are trying to open their eyes a little more than usual in our
Yeah.
lifespan. So I think that it kind of makes it more acceptable to
Yeah.
consider the possibility. It's like, all these drones. I'm from New Jersey. All these drones, like, it's weird.
It is
You know
weird.
what I mean?
It is.
Like, anytime we hear something at night now, we're like, is that another drone? And it's like, come on, man. Like, you think that this stuff is movies, but it's real life now,
I
you know?
agree, and I will say I've had this struggle recently talking to more people about this. I've struggled to not come off as crazy, because you start to sound crazy the more you get involved into these conspiracy theories. So with that being said, I'll give you a perfect title for anyone who's into this field. I think if we can change conspiracy theorist to conspiracy researcher, we might be looked at in a better light. Because as a person who really dug into this conspiracy theory world, I didn't want to sound crazy when I was talking to people about it.
Right.
So, with that being said, if you can bring as much research and some kind of tangible proof to back up your situations, then I think you're in a better light than just talking about the aliens and Bigfoot. So, if
Right.
I could change my little name here, it would be Eddie Layfield, conspiracy researcher.
That's true. I think it's relevant, and I think that when you speak about that, what it really comes down to is the access of information has never been easier to obtain.
Yeah,
Things we're supposed to see, things we're not supposed to see.
that's for sure.
Things get leaked every day. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter what industry it is, whether it's politics, real life,
Yeah.
movie scripts, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And people just tend to paint a picture, and the narrative can go any way.
Yeah.
That also depicts the personality of the person that's speaking of it. So
That's
I
true.
think that's the dangerous territory, because
It shows who you
if
really are.
well, it's a combination of that, but it's also like, if you're not of sound
Yeah,
mind, like, you might just, like, this might be your life now. And
exactly.
that's a dangerous slope that, some people go.
Yes.
But I can appreciate the lighthearted approach of making it a mockumentary, because at the end of the day, we all laugh at least one of these components,
Yeah.
like, I'm not familiar with the name, but you've probably seen it on TikTok. There's a guy that's, like, in a podcast, and the camera's usually really close, and it's one of those things where he's like, "I'm about to blow your mind," and he tells you, like, something, like, really absurd,
Uh-huh.
but it's like, that he's joking, but
Mhm.
he's doubling down on it, and almost like a skit, maybe it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
but he'll be like, "Flat Earth," and it's like, "Hear me out," and then you see him go, "Oh, the producer's already walking out." Like, he
Yeah.
just you know, like, it's just great because some people are just so invested
Yeah.
in what they've learned, and the one thing I'll say that kinda could tie into that, it's not necessarily related to conspiracy theories, but, um, we talk about misinformation in the world and things like that, and these platforms give you sometimes too much. Because I feel like the biggest crutch we've had in the world is technology. Technology has made and broken us as a society, because we went from having to figure it out all on our own through peer, knowledge,
Mhm.
to just having everything, and then you having to decipher what's real and what's not, you
It
know,
is.
and with the introduction of AI in the last several years, it's made it even harder to gauge, you know, what's real and what's not. But when you think about food, you know, I don't we talk to don't like to do politics, but this is a really important point I just want to bring up of,
Sure.
you know, we talk about like there's a lot of food poisoning in the world, in the US, let's just say. There's that one side that just talks about, you know, all the stuff is in the food. You know, it's not anywhere else, which is this is fact. But then you
Absolutely.
talk about, you know, all the people that are just trying to push all this stuff saying, "Oh, natural, 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 natural." But then there's really just the I just want to be healthy. You know, I'm 40, I'm going to be 43 next month. I have a child, I have a wife. I want to be able to do the right thing. I've become more health conscious of what's in my foods, you
Sure.
know, versus taking that extreme mindset of like everything is poison, you know, like I hate to say it, almost everything is poison. You know what I mean? Like it's just we know if you
Yeah.
can pick up something
Yeah.
and you can't understand the ingredients,
Right.
that should tell you something, you know? But
Right.
again, it's who is depicting that, and a lot of the conspiracies are the
Mhm.
people that pick one trope and they feed on it, and then they just, you know, they just
They harp on
preach
it.
it,
Yeah.
preach it, preach it, and that's a scary thing. So I can see your con full of people like that, you know? You have
Sure.
the guy in the corner, red dye, you know, like don't eat the red dye, it's
Oh,
roaches, it's
sure.
bugs.
For sure. Someone just angry and upset with the current state of the world. We definitely have moments of that where you have characters that are super passionate about the conspiracies and the world they live in. But the fun part in the movie was to also find the people who are not into the conspiracies.
Right,
To give you a little tease of the film without giving anything away, the parents of our main characters, not conspiracy theorists at all. And so that really makes the actual true believers even funnier. Um,
right.
to go
Well,
back to your
because it comes to a lack of support too, you know, like,
yeah,
we always think our parents are gonna support us in our dreams, right?
yeah,
Not
and that
not
kind
if they
of
blatantly disagree. Yeah,
this kind of actually sets up the conflict in our film by just stating who's a true believer and who's not. It really comes into play in the film, and you never know who's lying or who's telling the truth or what's a deep fake or what was edited or what could be AI. It's really this conspiracy movie and this world was fun to play in because you could make a mystery type of movie with conspiracies, or you could really lean into conspiracies, and I think that we found a healthy balance between the two of those, where we are truthful with our world that we create, but also we don't take ourselves that seriously. And to cap that all, I'd say our characters are very grounded at times as well. I was hoping that the movie wouldn't feel um, too absurd and obscure. I wanted to make sure that these people who in the world that we depict felt grounded, real, and truthful. And I think that we nailed that, especially with our leads for sure. You'll see our lead characters are Daisy Sherlock and Eric Sherlock, and that's Terry Lynn and Christopher Murray playing both of those characters. And they Terry's actually a Delaware local person, so it was really nice for her also to come back to her home and film. Um,
that's cool.
but before I lose this train of thought on the food conspiracy stuff, I wanted to kind of double down with what you're saying. Um, Regardless of politics and capitalism, greed that there is in our country, which is, I would say, the reason why we have so much free nonsense food wise, red dye that's not healthy, all those kind of things. It's because of capitalist greed. But to add to that and double down, you must know about the milk industry conspiracy. Do you know about this?
I know a little bit, but not enough, and I'm kinda scared too.
No,
But I'm listening.
it's a good one. So at a point in American history, when we had milkmen walking around delivering milk to
In
door.
glass, which was important.
What's
Glass,
that?
right? In
Yes,
glass.
in a glass bottle. Yes. The I think that there's some truth in this somewhere. Hopefully, somebody can find it for us. But the theory is that the government was actually helping prop up the milk industry. People weren't buying it as much as they wanted to, or the government or the industry wanted to. And so they invented milkmen and pushed the narrative that milk helps with strong bones and it's good for your body and development. And we're going to deliver it door to door, because ultimately the dairy industry was failing at that time. There was a lack of cheese being bought, and dairy wasn't being bought in America. So they were like, this will be the fix. Get those men out there with the postal service and deliver that milk. Whether that's a true theory or not, I think it's a really good one. And
It's interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if the whole mustache milk campaign that came through
Right.
the 80s and 90s was another resurgence of like, hey,
Doing something hip.
help. Sell more milk for us.
I mean, that's really it's definitely an open-minded way of thinking about it for sure.
Definitely one of those.
That could be a really cool little documentary too, you know?
Yeah, right. It's like it's like that Pop-Tart movie that came out recently as well.
I mean, look, we make movies about everything nowadays, so
Yeah. Yeah.
no, that's really, really awesome, interesting story.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna start looking it up. I gotta go, guys.
That was the exit. Let me get into you're drinking milk. Like, that's not true.
Preposterous.
Yeah. How dare you? You just chugging a glass of milk.
I mean, I hope we maybe get one message.
Yeah.
These guys promoting a conspiracy movie. Milk conspiracy.
We're gonna have the dairy farmers of America boycotting our film.
Oh man, I hope not, because then I'm responsible too.
Come on, man. And bad publicity is good.
I was just gonna say, there's no such thing as bad press, right?
That's right. That's right.
Well, let me ask you,
Yeah.
with the work that you're doing on this, obviously, you were presented this script. Without you talking in detail, like, is there any projects that maybe you and your wife were working on initially that you want to get to? And this is obviously a good way to get everything started in, your production side. And, hey, we have this idea we really want to do outside of working on someone else's pitch. Like, do you have stuff like that work that in the back of your mind?
For sure, for sure. I think selfishly, I in the future of Eddie Layfield, I would hope to be more of a director and a writer. I want to produce and direct my own work in the comedy realm and also a bit of the music realm. I have a love for classic rock music and like big band jazz music. So like Frank Sinatra and Michael Bublé is. I just love both of them. So in the future, I would definitely like to work on some of those projects. I would say this is definitely our first feature film. So going forward, this will be a great calling card for Uncultured Swine. This will be the tool that I can go to future creators or collaborators and say, this is what we do, or at least this is what we can do. If you're looking for some more of my own personal work, I'd spent last year writing and producing a comedy called The Clam. Have you seen it?
I have, and I have to tell you something after, but you first.
So The Clam is New York City's #1 supervillain. He is on a mission to spread his clammy hands around the world, one hand at a time. And in this 10-episode micro comedy, you see me as the Clam, a vaudevillian supervillain, just trying to rise in villainy fame. It's very quirky. It's very goofy. It's got a lot of nods to the greats of the black and white era. So I love Buster Keaton. So a lot of the physical comedy in that movie is a nod to there. And I'm also a huge anime fan. So just getting to put in moments of like, a nod to Naruto or Dragon Ball Z, it's there. So I really
a
appreciate
little slapstick too. I definitely see that.
it's very slapstick and it's very that's my comedy baby. So I appreciate that you watched it, and I definitely use that as a talking point as to what it is the comedy or what makes my funny bone kind of work.
Right.
Hopefully, more people will get involved with that. I hope that the Conspiracists will be something huge and real that people will see, and then they'll say, "What else you got, kid?" And I'll have all of these things to pull out of my back pocket.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny because obviously, once we met, I wanted to, as people do, you connect with other people, you want to see some of the work that they've done. So obviously, I looked in, like, checked out your LinkedIn, and I came across your YouTube channel, and
yeah,
that's where I was able to see that. So the thing that struck me with it before I even saw it was the name,
yeah.
and it's really just an interesting coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything happens for a reason.
Cool.
But I've landed my first voiceover role for a video game this year, and my character's name is Clammy.
No way.
I mean, come on, let's be honest. How often is either that terminology used or that name being used?
Yeah. Is he
I think
is he
so.
sweaty
He's
handed or
no, so
hyperhidrosis?
so so he is a street performer. He
Okay.
is basically a street performer that was pretty much near the Cecil Hotel because the name of the game is called the Cecil. And basically, the hotel is haunted, and we have a variety of entities there. And Clammy, the street performer, was beloved at one point and pretty much has been down on his luck. And people began to laugh at him and ridicule him and mock him. So he went to this doctor that promised him to help make him the best performer he can be. And in turn, he has become much more than what he bargained for. And
Uh-huh.
now he is pretty much an evil version of himself that is hell bent on revenge.
Very nice.
Uh, but like, like when I first saw it, I was just like, wait a minute, like what
Yeah.
are but then like I watched it and I really appreciated it. And I'm all about that goofy side of things too. And I really appreciated it because we don't have enough of that in the world. I think so many people take things too serious sometimes, and life is too short. I know we're in a world where we definitely have to be a little more conscious on the types of humor we do. There's so many worlds of inappropriate humor, but at the end of the day, classic humor like that and just having fun with something that you care about is really cool. Um,
Gee, man.
I'd like you, when you have time, to
Yeah.
take a listen to a song called In Motion by a band called Ghosts of Eden. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Self plug. It's my old rock band.
Okay.
We did a music video that was pretty much like Mario Kart for adults. This
Yeah.
was before people started. There were videos that came out years later of people like adults riding big wheels and racing and stuff. Like we did this long before that, and it was a lot of fun. And I saw a lot of that kind of similar inspiration to what you did. So
Appreciate
really, really cool.
I will check it out. Ghost of Eden.
Yep. So
Ghost
it
of Eden.
goes plural, and then the
Ghost.
song is In Motion. Yep.
I will check it out for sure. I appreciate you bringing this up because this is a good segue to reconnect us to the Conspiracists. Michael Puri Jr., the writer of the film and our director, he and I actually collaborated on all of the music for the Clam. Um, so me and him have been working together for years now, and right from when I met Michael, I began to read his work and see the projects that he was working on, and him and I's background and funny bone and our comedy taste aligns so perfectly. I've always been a huge supporter of his work just because of how I don't know how similar I would say me and him are and our mindsets
Right.
are. So when it came to collaborate on the Clam or the Conspiracists or even the joke aspects of the writing and the editing parts of things, he was so open to hearing us out, and that was just a blessing to have because everyone wants to make the project the best it can be. You just there is hierarchy, there is collaboration that goes involved, and it's nice when you have a team that wants to work together, support each other, and take in consideration from other people. So, the Conspiracists had a lot of pre-production aspects that were collaborative, specifically the artwork that you'll see in the movie, the design of certain plugins and cutaways, and more so the development of our convention space. You mentioned the name of our convention, ConCon, the first all-inclusive conspiracy convention. At ConCon, in the film, we had to actually produce a real convention. So
Right.
we had a gymnasium hall space with 15 different conspiracy booths, and enough space to have a keynote speaker and a crowd of 60 extras to be at the end of our film. Without giving more of the plot away, the characters all join at ConCon, and at the keynote speaker is where the plot really climaxes and comes to an end. And the fun part was coming together to invent these conspiracy booths and these ideas, because we did pay respect to the larger conspiracies like aliens and Bigfoot and the Illuminati and everything and JFK, but it was more fun to invent these niche small things, the dogs are from Mars, flat Earth versus super Earth. There was plenty of things that I came to the table ready to play, because
That's awesome.
I love doing the research of it.
Right.
Are you into conspiracies? What's your favorite one?
I'm open-minded with
Okay,
stuff. Obviously there's always the idea of the lava. There's not really lava at the core of the earth, things like that.
I've never
You
heard
know,
that one.
yeah, like the idea of the core of the earth, like if there was lava, why is the bottom of the ocean so cold? It's really the opposite.
Oh, I see that
So,
one. Because
you
I
know,
guess just thinking of the depth and the coldness. I love that one. I think
you
that
know,
goes
but the
along.
water would be boiling. There'd be nothing alive in the
Yeah,
water,
I see
like
that one. Have you heard of it's sometimes called Subterria or Super Earth? It goes along with this idea that there is a larger bit of I don't know, a large cave system under the earth, that there's cities and people living down there. I think it's the
but like
depth.
Godzilla has done that with like Hollow Earth. Like they basically,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, they brought that in other movies, but I think that in our real world, one of the airports, I think in Denver, Colorado, pays respects to a conspiracy of the lizard people living under their airport. So much so that there's pictures that you can look up of walls blocking construction. You know how in New York City you'll see those walls, covering up buildings that they're working on. You can
right.
go and see pictures at the airport, and they're saying, working on renovations, and there's a picture of a construction guard standing there in the advertisement with a
But it's a
lizard.
lizard.
Yeah,
It's great. And talk about embracing.
right. It's
I mean, there's so much, like I said, the scary part now is because of how bizarre 2025 has already been.
yeah.
Like I'm sure you've heard of the filament. There's that as well
Is that the
with the
firmament?
the firmament.
Firmament.
I said it wrong.
I have. I know all
Like
about
there's
the
all big talk with that, and
flat
you know,
earthers and when I was researching the flat Earth conspiracies, it was really neat to find that there's also like I think, sorry, this,
no, they're
let me,
coming for you.
yeah, really, that's,
We brought up the wrong thing.
you're gonna see my door bust open and the SWAT team come in.
Just
we,
the
I,
arm from the side, just yoke you.
yeah, just pull me out. I was on a podcast a couple days ago, and the host asked me about 9/11 and conspiracies, and I quickly was like, no, 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 no. I don't want the CIA coming after me. We don't need that. We're not even going to bring it up. Uh,
No,
well, to go back, we were talking about flat Earth and the firmament, which for your audience, the firmament is the top of the dome that they believe our rockets can't get out of. Um, the thing with the flat Earth conspiracy that I found was there's an idea floating around of super Earth. So we are told that the flat Earth people believe that our planet is flat and we're surrounded by an ice wall. The super Earth people believe that past the ice wall, there is more to Earth than we are told. And they believe like Valhalla is there, Atlantis, Tartaria, a few other random spin-off kind of
There's
you
like
know,
a name for the wall, right? Like I've seen that, and like people say that
yeah,
they
the
fly helicopters near the ice wall, and
Yeah, and there was, I think it was called Operation High Jump or something like that. There was one admirable so and so flew over and found the entrance to Hollow Earth and came back, and it's very, I really, I can't knock any conspiracy at all because you don't know what's true and what's not. So it's nice to just talk about them freely. Um,
yeah, it's nice to just be open minded
yeah,
to hear stories that could or could not. I
yeah,
think that it also makes for so much of the content that we make in movies. When you think about it,
that's true.
it can be imagination based on fiction. Who knows?
Yeah, you
You
just
know,
never know.
I mean,
Um,
think about all they keep saying about that people have been living under the ocean, and that's really where the aliens are. Like that's the big thing now.
I've read into that. I'm actually, I would say, as far as conspiracy goes, I personally align with the alien side of things. I'm a huge fan of aliens, and I love Signs and M Night Shyamalan, and I actually really have been keeping up with the whistleblowers too that have been coming out in the last couple of months and years.
Tell me that isn't something either when you think about it, just like in the last what, like 3 or 4 years, we're
Yeah,
just watching courtroom videos
yeah.
and then just basically like just throwing it out there. It's like, what?
Yeah, it was maybe 2 years ago that Congress had the first whistleblower, David Grush, come in and fully explain to them that this is real. Y'all are covering it up. We just need more communication through the different, what do you call them? Information or networking government.
Yeah,
What do you call
the
it?
way
Intelligence
it's filtered.
agencies. The intelligence agencies need to start sharing the information they have. So I love the alien side of things. I think that the drones, um, I don't know. I have so many conflicting feelings about the drones. I fly a drone. I have one. So I have seen the videos where you can clearly see, rudders and propellers in some of them. But then I have seen the videos where they morph into orbs, and that does go to a deeper UFO discussion on whether are these ships creating anti-gravity, or are they using quantum mechanics to become detangible? Because I'm sure you've seen the Tic Tac video or the video of the one UFO diving into the ocean and then quickly resurfacing, and
Right.
no splash and no explosion, obviously. So I don't know, man. It's such
Yeah.
a can of worms. What do you think they are?
I don't know. Well, you know about the egg too, I'm sure.
I have seen the egg.
The eggs that's been
Yeah,
captured.
but
I mean, the running joke that I will stay consistent with that I appreciate is we live in a world with phones as powerful as iPhones and Samsungs,
yeah,
yet we can never get a clear picture.
I know.
I find that interesting. But again, to combat that is anything that is clear can be AI or can be CGI rendered
That's true.
because we have people that are extremely talented. We make movies in our society that do this type of stuff. It's really hard to tell what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
Um, there was it's not completely relevant, just real quick. It was a guy on TikTok that was basically, I think he made like a story that basically he acted out solo where he had got attacked by something and like every episode was like, oh, it's infected now, and like it was all like it looked all potential practical effects. The next day his eyes like completely like weirded out, and
Yeah.
people are like, is this real? Like, is this guy like, is this a story? What's going on? And it's like he basically is like documenting
Yeah.
everything that's going on in his life, and every day his body's getting worse. And I'm
That's
like, people go through extreme lengths, but again, if this is a project, it's a very clever, but you scare the wrong people
oh,
because you get people that are like, oh my god, why is nobody looking for this guy? Like
yeah. Yeah, it's a good what would you say, like marketing campaign to get your content out there. It's kind
Right.
of like clickbait-y, but
Yeah.
he's still telling a good story by going through it.
Exactly. Right.
I had this idea. In the next month or so, I'm going to be on my own personal social media. I'll be releasing a few skits, all in the same vibe of debunking conspiracies, and
Okay.
they'll all be comedy centered episodes, but they're just directing traffic back to the conspiracists. But I'll be debunking, the mainstream ones like Atlantis and aliens and Bigfoot, and those 5 or 6 episodes will be kind of like this, an interesting marketing campaign where you're not sure if it's true or not. I hope to. I actually bought a lizard mask the other day
Oh, that's awesome.
just to nail down one of these skits that I have about the New York City Gators. And
Oh boy.
those will be coming out in the next couple weeks. But
Well, we have the whole city under New York too, right? You
exactly,
know?
there is there's a large theory that there's something else under the New York City that's built now. But if your audience wants to kind of keep up with the conspiracists and see more of the conspiracies that we've been working on, we have a lot of behind the scenes stills, and a teaser will also be up there shortly. But we also have a new movie poster on our website. You can go to theconspiracists.com. So the conspiracists with an S at the end.com.
But that's what I used to have to do with Ghosts of Eden.
Exactly.
I know the feeling.
You have to hit both of those levels just to get it across. But you can go and see all of our press moments as well. I really appreciate you, Benny, for bringing that up. You got to see we did. My wife and my wife and our other executive producer, Chris Bruce, got to go on Good Morning Wilmington, a little talk show in Delaware. And at that same time, they actually had they were on the cover of a magazine in Delaware as well. This magazine's called Out and About magazine, and on the cover they were mentioning all of the people coming to Delaware to make films. It seems that New Jersey and Delaware are growing this new hub for filmmaking, which is really, really exciting for the East Coast. And on the cover was my wife and Christopher Bruce, our executive producer, and other famous filmmakers from Delaware,
That's really
specifically
awesome.
M. Night Shyamalan,
Wow.
Oprah Winfrey,
Okay.
and Robin Williams in the Dead Poets Society. So it was just really nice to get a great bit of press right at the beginning of this, makeshift press tour that I'm putting together.
Hey, I think you're doing a great job. And again, I
Appreciate it.
think that the more people hear about it, the better. And
Yeah,
I think we're in the world of social media, like I really think that this is one of those, I think we need it. I think we need to have light situations where we can embrace the different in the
yeah,
world, and not think that it's out there to target people. And
yeah,
again, movies are entertainment, and I think that people lose sight of that sometimes. And again, the world of conventions, I think, is a side of the world that is not visited enough. And
right.
I think it's a really cool concept, and I'm looking forward to seeing it for sure. And
Cool.
everybody, just remember, we're going to have everything linked in the description of the video today. So make sure, you definitely check it out. We will definitely link access to that interview that we just talked about. And as the trailer,
We'll have
I know
the
the
we'll have,
other one, by the time we release, we may have it
I'd say
available.
by the time this is released, we'll definitely have the teaser up on the website. I'm not sure if the trailer fully will come out just because of festival
Yeah,
rules
of
and
course.
everything. I don't want to disqualify ourselves from some stuff
Absolutely.
for sharing too
Absolutely.
early. But yeah, the teaser is really exciting. You're gonna love it, and yeah, and just be on the lookout. There'll be more moments of me just talking about conspiracies, and I really appreciate you, Benny, for letting me come on and dig a little bit deeper into all this stuff. It was fun.
Absolutely, Eddie. No, thank you for your time again, and we'll also have links to the Marvel of Horror, that other project that your siblings and yourself work on.
Yeah.
That is a great horror podcast if you're into horror, which a lot of our followers are. We do horror segments with my co-host Monica. A lot of times we stream horror games or we discuss indie horror. We're very big indie horror game players. We actually just live streamed a game called Mouthwashing. We played it in its entirety for 2.5 hours, and we actually acted it out as we played it. So that was a ton of fun.
That's awesome.
But yeah, definitely check out Bruce Marvel. It's a great show. We'll have a link for it as well.
Yes,
But again,
Benny is going to do us a favor and come on to the Marvel of Horror. So definitely look out for his episode coming in the next month or two.
awesome. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time. Eddie, you have a great day, and looking forward to seeing more with this movie. Everybody, remember, take care and have fun.
Thank you.
What is that? It's recording us right now?
I know, I don't do podcasts. What is this?
The puppy eagle has landed.
You sound crazy right now.
Tom Brady!
Stop! Dad! Enough with the Gabby stuff. She has nothing to do with this. What the
You know, I think the whole thing is just one giant conspiracy targeting me, actually.